You'd think making software work in another language would be simple, right? I mean, you just translate the text. But what happens when that simple translation makes parts of your app just disappear? Well, today we're going to dive into a pretty cool tech detective story about a really mysterious Greek localization bug. Okay, so picture this. There's this accounting software company, and they are all set to launch in Greece. They've done the work, translated everything, they flipped the switch, and it's a total mess. Some of the Greek text looks perfect, but other parts, they're either corrupted or just blank. And that's where our mystery begins. And this is literally what the developers were staring at. On one hand, you've got the main menus and forms. They look great. The Greek characters, flawless. But then you look at the really critical stuff, like the data grids and dropdowns, and it is a complete mess of question marks and scrambled symbols. So what on earth could be causing this? So this kicked off a classic bug hunt. The development team basically had to put on their detective hats. And their first move? Rule out all the usual suspects, starting with the most obvious one. Okay, first question. The most logical one, did the translators just miss something? I mean, maybe the corrupted text is just text that never got translated. It's the simplest explanation, and, a lot of the time, that's all it is. But nope, that wasn't it. A quick check of the files confirmed everything was there. All 4,072 user interface labels fully translated into Greek. Okay, so the mystery deepens. All right, so if the translation is all there, what's next? Well, maybe there's a typo in the code. A single misplaced quote, a comma where it shouldn't be. That kind of thing can absolutely break the whole file. And trust me, that is a super common culprit in software localization. But that theory didn't hold water either. See, the exact same software setup worked perfectly with other complex languages. We're talking French, Spanish, even Arabic with its whole right-to-left script. This problem was happening only with Greek. And that just made things even weirder. And this is where the investigation takes a turn. The team starts to notice a pattern. The main parts of the program, the menus, the forms, they were fine. It was only these specific components, like grids and drop-downs, that were failing. And that was a huge clue. It meant the problem wasn't the translation file itself, but how one specific part of the software was trying to read it. And that led to the big aha moment. The team finally realized they'd been looking in the completely wrong place. This whole thing wasn't really about the Greek language at all. No, it was about something much more fundamental. The way computers handle text. The problem was encoding. So what is encoding anyway? Well, think of something called Unicode. It's basically the universal alphabet for computers. It gives a unique number to every single character from pretty much every language. It's the magic that lets your phone show English, Greek, and Japanese all on the same screen without it just turning into total gibberish. And this technical diagnosis, well, it absolutely hit the nail on the head. The issue was officially called a component-level encoding failure. Basically, the main program was using the modern Unicode standard, but an older legacy component inside the software wasn't. So here's the breakdown. Those grid components that were failing, they were built with older tech, and they were defaulting to an old font that just didn't understand Unicode. It's kind of like trying to read a modern ebook on a typewriter from the 1950s. The typewriter might recognize spaces and punctuation, but it would have no idea what to do with the actual Greek letters. Okay, so after all this deep, complex investigation, you'd probably expect some super complicated solution, right? Well, that's the most beautiful part of this whole story. The fix, it was surprisingly, almost absurdly simple. The answer wasn't buried somewhere in that massive 400-page translation file. No, it was hidden in a single line of a configuration file. This was it, a single line, alt font equals true. That's it. Adding this one little command to the software's settings forced those old stubborn components to use a newer alternative font, one that was totally compatible with Unicode. And just like that, poof, the garbled text vanished and the Greek characters appeared perfectly. But, fixing the bug was really only half the battle. This whole thing shines a light on a much bigger idea in the software world, the huge difference between just translating something and truly localizing it. Okay, so with the text finally showing up correctly, the team could get to the real work of localization. And that's not just about swapping out words. It's about making sure the software feels natural, like it belongs there, and that it's professionally compliant in its new home country. Just take a look at these examples. For accounting software in Greece, you can't just translate the term VAT literally. You have to use the official term, FPA, for it to be compliant with tax law. Same thing for tax ID. It has a specific legal acronym, AFM. That's localization. It's adapting the software to fit local laws, culture, and professional standards. And that kind of leaves us with a final thought, doesn't it? The next time you switch the language on one of your favorite apps, take a closer look. Is it just speaking your language, or does it actually understand your world? Because that difference, well, it's everything.